At the end of the first film, we were shown that Raccoon City had been attacked by the same virus that they tried to escape from in the Umbrella Hive. The sequel begins by reminding us what happened in the previous film, then we're shown that all is good over at Raccoon City. So it doesn't really begin right after Alice escaped from that building that she was in at the end of the first film. Not a bad thing, since it's good to show us what Raccoon City was like before disaster struck. We see a beautiful neighborhood, and then the camera pans down beneath Raccoon City, showing us the Umbrella Hive entrance, with an Umbrella Graphics logo inserted in with the text. I guess they wanted to remind us that it's Umbrella. Okay, so once again, Umbrella sent over more employees to investigate what went on inside the hive, and to unlock the entrance, this guy uses a hacking gauntlet device. Damn, Umbrella. Did you also invent the Predator's gauntlet device? This must be a prototype, right, Paul? So even this hacking device has little Umbrella logos for the hidden ID password, and the locked entrance has an Umbrella logo on the center. That's 3 Umbrella logos in 2 seconds, Paul. So, after opening the hive, they are instantly attacked, which quickly explains how the zombies got out of the hive. I guess this one zombie was a Crimson Head. How else could he have moved that fast? Well, Crimson Heads aren't a part of this movie, so that was just one really hungry zombie. Right, Paul? So after the Umbrella higher-ups found out that zombies had escaped the hive, they sent out their Men in Black agents to pick up every one of their important employees in Raccoon City. One of them happens to be a guy called Charles Ashford. No relations to the Ashford family in Code Veronica. You know, if Paul was trying to use this last name as some sort of a reference to the games, this is a terrible way of doing so. Fans know about the Ashford family. They play a big role in the Code Veronica game. You can't just use that last name and slap on a character that has no relations with the Ashford family whatsoever. They also mention that this guy is the creator of the T-Virus. Then why didn't they just call him Edward Ashford? Let's move on. So they sent Umbrella agents to pick up their top employees, and since Charles' daughter is still in school, they sent some agents to pick her up as well. But on their way to their destination, the vehicle with his daughter in it gets rammed by a truck, and they decide not to turn around and just forget about it. Well, can't complain. After all, it is Umbrella. The camera then pans over to show us that she's still alive. Where are the pedestrians though? This whole city area looks completely abandoned, and the outbreak hasn't even started. How do you even have a car accident when there is no traffic or anyone on site? Also, the car was already lifted on one end before the truck even struck the vehicle. Who the hell was driving that truck? It would have made sense if the trucker was infected, but no one ever addresses who rammed them, and everyone just moves on. So I guess we need to move on as well. 13 hours go by, and we are finally introduced to the one and only Jill Valentine, the legendary STARS member that should have been featured in the first film. But whatever, she's here now, right? So before revealing the character, we are shown that she has a few newspaper articles about her, and she was duped? Jill Valentine disgraced? What did she do exactly? Let's read what's clear here. Raccoon City lost one of its brightest police officers, Jill Henderson. Henderson? Jill Henderson?
This is wrong. I think...
Okay, so this guy who's writing this article got 2 characters mixed up. Jill Valentine and this other STARS member who was made up for this film known as El Capitan Henderson. Well, Captain Henderson. You'll see him for like a brief moment. In this article, it mentions that Jill and others went into the Arklay Mountains and dealt with zombie-like creatures. Okay, so when did that happen exactly? We saw what happened in the first film. Paul completely rewrote the events of the first Resident Evil. With what happened in the first film, there's no way Jill and other STARS members were able to run into a pack of Cerberus and zombies while Alice was in Wonderland. So right away, they're contradicting the movie's story while trying to play it off as if the original story also went on? No, Paul. This doesn't make sense, Paul. But anyways, in this version, Jill has been suspended because they did not believe that she, along with others, dealt with zombies in the Arklay Mountains. Which I guess I shouldn't believe either, right? But whatever, let's move on. We're only 6 minutes into the movie, god damn. By now, we're shown that the outbreak has begun. So Jill heads over to the police station, and my god, did they choose wisely on the actress that would portray Jill Valentine. Even her wardrobe is identical, with a few adjustments. She easily disposes of a few zombies in the police station and tells Captain Henderson to shoot them all in the head. Day gets saved by Jill, and it doesn't matter why he was arrested, because right now, it's time to make a run for it. You know, I feel like I haven't seen the Umbrella logo in oh, there it is. 5 logos this time, right on! Oh.
Another one.
By the way, if you're planning on taking a shot every time you see the Umbrella logo, you're gonna get shit-faced within the next 2 minutes, no matter where you are in the movie. These guys can't stop shoving the Umbrella logo down our throats. So this guy wakes up Alice, and now we're up to speed with the ending of the first film. Now we see that all exits have been blocked, and everyone near the exits must be cleared in order to verify that the infection does not spread. We then go to a random damsel that's being chased by a group of zombies, but this scene is butchered by the obnoxious editing. I don't know who thought this would work to make the situation look scary. It's terrible. They use this trick again in a scene later on, but luckily this scene doesn't last long as a chopper with Umbrella mercenaries arrives on time to save the woman. This is where we are introduced to Carlos Oliveira, played by Oliveira. Don't get me wrong, I love the actor, but why did they cast him to be Carlos? Did they not know that Carlos was 21 years old during the Raccoon City outbreak? They didn't even get his haircut right. He looks more like he could have portrayed Chris Redfield instead. So Carlos notices that a woman on a building rooftop is being chased by zombies, and he orders the pilot to bring him down to rescue her. But the pilot refuses since they have their orders, so Carlos dives in to save the woman while he's strapped onto a rope that isn't even attached to the chopper. He was saved because his partner acted fast when it came to attaching it to the chopper, but what if he didn't even notice it? What then? So, Carlos is saved by his partner, and he even manages to get straight headshots while free falling. Okay, is this humanly possible? He saves the woman, but she refuses to go with him because she was bit. So, she commits suicides.
There's no going back!
No!
Wait a minute. If she was gonna jump to her death because she was infected, then why the hell didn't she do it earlier? Why did she look at the ledge and back away? Let's move on. So we go back to one of the exits. Jill meets up with a STARS member that's not Kenneth Sullivan and a reporter. Then after one of the civilians starts turning into a zombie, the Umbrella guy mentions that the infection has reached them, so they better close the exits and force everyone to go back to their homes. Again, whose idea was this? We then get a scene which is actually a good homage to the intro of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. For once in this film, Paul did something right and shows us a reenacted version of the police force with SWAT teams and mercenaries fighting off the hordes of zombies on the streets. This is something we wanted to see in a live-action movie based on Resident Evil 3. However, this isn't Resident Evil 3, but I won't complain. I know they're skipping Resident Evil 2 since they don't even involve Leon, Claire, Birkin, or anyone in that game. But seeing as the first film decided to retell the events of the first... Okay, now I'm confused. I think it's okay to skip the events of Resident Evil 2 then, right? Nah, they fucked up. Sadly, this scene gets interrupted by switching to... What's this guy's name? Major Kane? Okay. So he asks Charles to leave in the helicopter as he was instructed, but Charles refuses to do so because he wants to find his daughter. Surprisingly, Major Kane allows it. Charles then proceeds to search for his daughter by hacking into Umbrella software. He searches through iconic Raccoon City locations such as Raven's Gate Church? Paul, why didn't you just let them venture through the clock tower? Let me guess, you didn't play the game, so you thought, who gives a shit about the locations of Raccoon City? It's gonna blow up by the end of the movie anyways. Damn it, Paul, how could you include locations such as a clothing store, a gun shop, a church, and not even include any of the iconic names for those locations such as the Arcus clothing store, the Kendo gun shop, or the St. Michael clock tower? Know your audience, Paul. I'm surprised they included the Arklay Mountains shown in the weather forecast. So, going back to Jill, the reporter, and Duke, they make their way towards the Raven's Gate Church, and we're shown 2 gargoyle statues up above. If you're wondering why they did this, it's because initially they meant to include a licker standing in place as if it was a gargoyle. It was only shown in the movie trailer, but they saved that surprise for later. For some reason the lickers are black in the trailer. I don't know why they did that. After the 3 of them meet a guy who's hiding in the church, they hear a noise and Jill goes over to check it out. We then get a brief moment where the shot kind of resembles the camera angle from the Resident Evil 1 remake. It's a nice touch, but that's about it. There's no tension since we've seen that Jill can headshot a few zombies in a crowded room within a second. She eventually finds a woman on a chair who is revealed to be a zombie, and a priest was there looking after it. But here's the stupid part. The priest was feeding that zombie all along. I don't know why. So many questions with nothing answered, as both the priest and the zombie are quickly disposed of. What, was this supposed to creep anyone out? This scene went by so fast that if you left the room to take a piss and come back, you would have missed it. And it doesn't change anything. Jill doesn't get traumatized or bit. It's a very pointless scene. The reporter chick then freaks out after hearing gunshots. She tries to run out of the church, but there are multiple zombies at the entrance. They manage to block the entrance and avoid having any zombies break through the entrance, but right away they are greeted by the lickers. Yeah, this time it's more than one. 3 lickers. Shit's about to get real. The random guy with a gun decides to just ditch Duke and the reporter and runs deeper into the church, basically making it easier for the lickers to get him. Okay, what the hell is this? Lickers don't have eyes, Paul. What did you think, they have eyeballs behind that gushy brain? Do your homework, Paul! Unless you got a hold of the second volume of the Biohazard 2 manhwa, but I highly doubt that. So this guy gets taken down by a licker, which means that their problems just doubled. Because if you remember what happened in the previous film, after a licker has tasted new blood, it will evolve into an even deadlier creature. No. What happened to the liquor that tasted new blood? Come on, Paul. You can't even get your own logic right? Where's the evolved liquor at? So, fuck what happened in the previous film. Forget what you learned from that movie, because Paul over here completely forgot about the logic he made up for the first film. And now, it's time for Milla, the merriest of all Sues, to jump in and steal the show. So step back, Jill. Gotta shine that spotlight on Paul's waifu. What do you think this was going to be about you? Not unless you want to sleep with the director.
It's Milla Jovovich's movie. She's driving the narrative.
By the way, the lickers look fucking terrible in this movie. Remember how the CGI looked so damn realistic when it came to the licker in the first film before it mutated? Well, these ones look like they were made with PS1 cinematic graphics. Why is the brain red? Actually, why doesn't it look like it's a brain? I better not analyze it any further, it's just gonna get worse. So, Alice rides a motorcycle through a church window like she's fucking Hwarang and hits a licker with a motorcycle, just like how you can do that in the game, right? Then easily disposes of all 3 lickers without breaking a sweat. Damn, Alice. Are you even using 10% of your power? Okay, let's go back a little bit and dive into the stupidity of this scene. Alice no longer has a problem dealing with a licker. In fact, she can easily dispose of 3 lickers, almost as if it was barely an inconvenience. First of all, how did she manage to make a motorcycle leap high enough to break through that tall-ass window? Also, if the lickers were fast enough to dodge bullets, then why the hell didn't that licker dodge the oncoming motorcycle? The moment she turned that bike around, that's when all 3 lickers should have dove straight on top of her instead of ironically becoming the easiest targets to hit all of a sudden. Wow, look everyone! An umbrella logo on a bullet! Why? I don't know. Because it's cool? So then the movie goes over to show us what Day-Day's been up to. And well, this was kind of funny, to be honest.
GTA motherfucker! Oh, yeah! 10 points!
Points? Does GTA have a point system? So, last time we left off where Day-Day was going GTA on the streets of Raccoon City, but he is suddenly distracted by zombie strippers. And he ends up crashing his vehicle, now forced to go on foot. By the way, in the previous part of this review, a lot of you mentioned that the first zombie to attack at the entrance was either a licker or a Cerberus, so I went back and slowed it down to see the reflection of the gas mask, and it was indeed a licker. That is awesome. Major prompts, Paul. Major prompts. This is actually acting like the video game version. Good job there, Paul. You get 1 banana sticker, and even his 2 teammates are likable characters. This guy's called Nikolai. Yeah, the Nikolai. His last name is hard to say, so I'm just gonna call him Nikolai. And this guy is called Yuri. However, he's definitely a reference to Mikhail, But Carlos is the only one who is true to his character. While Nikolai is a completely different character here. Nikolai was the new Wesker of RE3, but this Nikolai is a good friend and ally. He's not the same Nikolai. Okay, bear with me here. He's called Nikolai, but doesn't act like Nikolai. Carlos is Carlos, and Yuri isn't Mikhail, but he's a reference to him? So why didn't they just call him Mikhail? Paul, get over here. Stop staring at your wife. Come here. So let me get this straight. This movie revolves around the events of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, correct? In the first film, you recreated the events of the first game and gave us characters that would be a reference to characters in the first game, right? Like Kaplan, he was a reference to Richard Eichen, a STARS member that gets injured and continues to aid the main characters even when that leads to his inevitable death. Or Spence, a character referencing both the Spencer name and Albert Wesker, a character that acts as an ally but betrays the main characters by the end, which leads to his own demise. Quick note to those who say, well, Wesker didn't really die. Yes, he did. Originally, he did. But Capcom brought him back due to his popularity, and not because it was planned to be a twist. So my point is that the first film used this method of references to the first game, but the second film tries this and includes a character from the first and third game, and even tells us that the events of the first game actually did happen? Like, what the shit? According to the first film, there is no real reason why Jill should be in this movie version, because she had nothing to do with the events that led towards the outbreak in Raccoon City. Paul, you are basically telling us two different stories that can't be in the same movie because it doesn't make sense. What the hell do you have to say about that? And don't tell me that this is a reference to the A and B scenario, because now I'm getting sick of references when you can't even get them right. It's clear so far that you had no idea what Resident Evil was all about. You just saw zombies and a very erotic chick and said, hey, I can make a movie about zombies and a very erotic chick. So I ask again, what do you have to say about that, Paul? I tried to please my fans. And my wife. No, Paul! Using mindless references isn't going to work because we're not mindless sheep that will be automatically aroused by seeing a live-action film based on our favorite video game. An umbrella logo on a bullet again with slow-mo is fucking stupid. The slow-mo bullet worked on Resident Evil 0 because it was a final shot that took down the final boss. Here, Alice basically one-shotted every licker. Not suspenseful whatsoever. And what's with all these fucking Umbrella logos? You know, Umbrella didn't own everything. They weren't Disney. But here, Umbrella owns everything. Bullets, leisure suits, thongs. Their vehicles don't even need a digit or a letter on their license plate. Just an Umbrella logo. That's how fucking powerful they are here. Umbrella employees are like, fuck the law, we don't give a shit. Go ahead and issue me a ticket, officer. I'll drop a tyrant through your bedroom ceiling. Explain that to your wife as it beats the hell out of you. Okay, now I'm going a little off the radar. Let's go back to punishing ourselves with this movie. Why aren't there any cops screaming for their lives? They may be in the RPD, but they act like NPCs. Look at this guy. Stay back, zombie. Oh no, I've been vanquished. Show some emotion, guys. Everyone that's being eaten alive, they're taking it like a champ. No one is screaming in pain. Either that or the sound editor forgot to cue in the generic screams. Imagine if this scene was directed by George A. Romero. That would have been hardcore. So Carlos, Nikolai, and Yuri retreat, and the scene ends with a reenactment of the ending to the intro of RE3. We were also shown that Charles was observing them through a surveillance camera. We then go back to Jill, Duke, the reporter, and Captain Marvel as they cross through a cemetery. They then take a small break, and Alice notices that Duke is infected. Just now, she noticed that he was infected. Hey, Ultraviolet, didn't you notice that Jill was carrying his ass around the entire time since you met them? Open your eyes, Alice! So she points a gun at Duke and tells Jill that they should kill him now, because he's infected. As both women argue about who's got the bigger clit, they are suddenly interrupted by a group of zombies that crawled out of their own graves. I wish I could explain this as basic bullshit, since the T-Virus doesn't work that way, but this literally does happen in Resident Evil 3 at the Park Cemetery. And sad thing is that I couldn't really find a logical reason towards that. Perhaps I might have missed a document that explains that the zombies in the Park Cemetery were just recently buried, or that those zombies weren't crawling out of their own graves, but were instead just zombies covered with leaves and shrubs. But as far as I know, I didn't see any explanations regarding this, so...
I'll allow it!
So this scene includes very detailed zombies as they did just crawl out of their own graves, but sadly it's butchered by that terrible editing again. The sound department forgot to make the reporter's screams actually be heard, and there are far too many jump cuts. I'm sure this would have looked average if we got a wide shot slowly zooming out of all 4 characters dealing with the horde of zombies. I mean, at least we could see what's going on instead of this clusterfuck of a mess. Again, I do give them prompts for making some of these zombies actually look terrifying, but I'm still confused as to why they rose from the dead if they must have been buried for years. But anyways, we go over to Major Kane where he is informed that the T-virus infection has increasingly spread, so they activate the Nemesis program. Finally, 33 minutes in, and we're finally shown to the king of all tyrants, the Nemesis. He awakens, and as he does so, a chopper flies by the building he's in to drop off 2 cases. I know, I bet you were hoping that they actually dropped off a Mr. X, or 2 of them for that matter. I mean, a chopper dropping off a giant case or container, who else wouldn't think that? Unfortunately, it's just a couple of weapon cases for the Nemesis. Carlos, Nikolai, and Yuri are very close by, so they head towards the building assuming the chopper was sent there to pick them up. They pass by the room where the Nemesis was kept, but he's not there. They then find the 2 cases that were dropped off by the chopper, and they're already empty. That's odd, considering the fact that the Nemesis had just woken up, and these mercenaries weren't even far from the drop-off. So how did the Nemesis make his way towards the entrance of the building and grab both weapons before Carlos and his comrades arrived if they were closest to the drop zone? He even had enough time to change considering the fact that he was naked when he awoke. Also, Yuri ends up turning into a zombie right away. He was bitten not too long ago, literally 4 minutes before Nemesis awoke, so how the hell did he instantly become a zombie when he only got bit once? And it was on his right arm. Why was he limping? It took Rain the entire film to turn into a zombie in the first film. You want to explain this, Paul? So Nemesis took off. They got lucky, I guess. Yuri turns into a zombie and bites Carlos, not so lucky. And then we're back to Day-Day. He makes his way to a theater where he meets Leon S. Kennedy. I'm just kidding. That's not going to happen here. He instead meets up with a group of STARS members. I know. Now we're probably thinking, well, that sounds better than Leon himself. You got characters like this cowboy guy on the roof sniping zombies down with a chill attitude with a few beers and a CD player. Brilliant. He's probably a reference to Forrest Speyer. Then we have Captain Henderson, who by the looks of it could have instead been Enrico Marini or even Barry Burton, but maybe he's a reference to one of them. I'm probably giving them credit for accidental references, who knows. All I know is that the Nemesis is approaching and Day-Day's got STARS backup. It's too bad that so much shit has been going on because I would have liked to have known why all these STARS members aren't searching for survivors instead of staying at a random theater. But anyways, the STARS sniper sees the Nemesis walking towards them and takes a few shots on him. But it doesn't slow him down. Everyone else is watching from the inside of the theater, and the Nemesis fires back with his signature rocket launcher. Paul, here's another banana sticker. That was a great introduction for the Nemesis. I know there's plenty of shit to go through in this movie, but I'm gonna tell it like it is. This scene was awesome. It reminds me of when Chris Redfield used a rocket launcher to take down Forrest Speyer, since this STARS member is like a reference to him. Watch the Resident Evil unseen footage video to know what I'm talking about there. Also, Nemesis actually looks identical to the Nemesis. His design and costume looks perfect. I know he's supposed to be taller, but this is something to be commended for. Because if a Resident Evil film reboot does get made, there's a high chance that they'll go with a CGI Nemesis instead of practical effects, simply because CGI is so damn easy to pull off and less expensive. Let's hope it doesn't turn out that way, right? But if so, at least we got to see what perfection looks like. So the Nemesis eliminates the STARS sniper, and everyone else but Day-Day starts firing everything they got on Nemesis. This should have actually took him down temporarily, but I see what they're going with here. It's gonna take more than countless ammunition to take this Nemesis down. What's also cool is that for a brief second, you can see what the Nemesis sees, and on the top left side, you see how much ammunition he has left, as well as how many rockets he has remaining. On the top right side, we see that all 12 STARS members are considered minimal threat, but the best addition is on the bottom right side, where you basically see his health percentage. This is something that should have been shown for longer than a millisecond. I never knew about this until I had to work on this video. After all the shots he's taken, his health percentage only dropped to around 96%. Sadly, Umbrella gave Nemesis an additional weapon, which is a Gatling gun. Some might say this is even better, or some might say that it's a little unnecessary. But the reason why I think that he shouldn't have had a Gatling gun here is because that's not only giving him too many perks, but also he doesn't have a reason to come face to face with any targets, which is exactly what happens with this nemesis. He doesn't take anybody down with his brute strength or parasitic tentacles, and unfortunately he doesn't even use his parasitic tentacles. You can see the ones that go with his outer design, but it's almost like Paul over here kept it in the concept art but never bothered to see what they were. So the nemesis got rid of every STARS member in that theater. Damn, this guy got shot twice in the butt. I don't know why, but it looks like the nemesis went for a lot of crotch shots. Day-Day gets spared simply because he was unarmed. Kind of makes you wonder if the nemesis from the game would do the same thing. I really don't know, since Day-Day isn't a target of his, but didn't Umbrella send the nemesis to hunt down every STARS member because they wanted to get rid of every witness? Meaning that technically Nemesis would end up killing anyone that sees him? Or maybe this is just Day-Day getting a little bit of that plot armor. Who knows? Another thing to note is that after he takes them all down, his health percentage slowly begins rising. That's pretty cool. It took me a long while to get this third part out, but we're here now, so let's continue where we left off. So our main characters make their way around Raccoon City while continuing their discussion from the graveyard scene. It's like they're trying to figure out who's the main protagonist of the film.
I'm good. But I'm not that good.
Whoa, that's all she needed to hear to confirm it. Alice is like, that's right, I'm better.
They did something to me. I barely feel human anymore.
Yeah, but you also look like you're enjoying everything about your superhuman abilities, so don't act like your story's a bit tragic here. I might be wrong about her enjoying it, as she doesn't really have any emotions. She's more like a robot. Robot! So they get a call from Dr. Ashford, who tells them that he can get them all out of there, but they have to find his daughter, who's hiding at the school. They're also told that Raccoon City will be nuked, but Duke doesn't want to go through with it. Even though a moment ago he took a bite to the leg and said, "These are our people, Jill." You know, the little girl must be innocent. Why not try and save her? She's one of the people you set out to save, right? Poor Duke. The T-virus must be going through his head by now. So they all agree and make their way to Angela's school. But suddenly, Alice's Mary Sue senses start tingling, and she tells them all that something is nearby. But Duke gets angry because he doesn't see anything and steps forward, which results in getting shot multiple times by the nemesis. So much for getting bit, right, Duke? Alice tells the rest of them to run away while she deals with the nemesis. She steps down and faces off in a spectacular death match. Yeah, right. She runs away. Alice goes down a garbage disposal and breaks a finger going down. Nemesis decides to fire a rocket at her direction, but she takes cover with a plastic bin. I thought it was metal, but it's noticeably flimsy, so I guess if the nemesis is ever about to fire a rocket at you, just take cover behind some plastic bins. Apparently it's like adamantium to rockets. She then quickly puts her finger back in place. Pay close attention to Mila's incredible acting performance as she puts her finger back in place. Acting. Her motivation? It was about squeezing out a silent fart. After running away from the location where Nemesis shot Duke, Jill tries to start up the nearest vehicle, but suddenly, a zombified Duke approaches Jill and tries biting her, and she easily kills him. So much for turning into a zombie, right, Duke? But wait a minute, how the hell did Duke instantly turn into a zombie and instantly track down Jill even after she ran as far as she could from that exact destination? You want to explain this, Paul? Nothing came out of this. You didn't really give this character much to make any of us care about him, and if you wanted to include him as a zombie, you could have just made him appear at the very end as one of the zombies that takes down Major Kane. I mean, after all, the only scene where Duke gets a bit of dialogue is when he's pissed off at Umbrella for what they've done. At least this way, he wouldn't have been a wasted character. So we then go back to Carlos and Nikolai, and Carlos explains to him that they're expendables, and if they make it live through this shitty movie franchise, they'll get to be in the shitty Expendables movie franchise. Then they get a phone call from Dr. Ashford, who offers them the same deal. Going back to Jill and the reporter, they run into Day-Day and they let him in.
We're gonna have to split up to search this place.
Forget it. Forget it. I'm not going out there by myself.
Split up? You sure that's something Jill Valentine would say?
I've never shot a gun before. There's nothing to it. Try to hit him in the head. Try to hit him in the head.
I'm starting to understand why she lost her partner. And by the way, after analyzing who her partner was, it turns out that the newspaper article reveals that it was in fact Leon S. Kennedy himself. I wonder how it happened. Maybe Leon was like, Jill, we need to stick together. I'm a rookie cop, remember? I don't think I should realistically survive a zombie outbreak if we split up. And she was like, there's nothing to it. Just aim at the head and shoot.
You can't help her. Not now.
Wait a minute. That little prick was in the room the entire time? Why didn't you speak up when the reporter was in that room with you? You could have said, hey, that's not me, it's a zombie, let's go! That was too hard? And how the hell was she hiding there the entire time? What's stopping her from getting dogpiled? I was expecting her to be hiding inside a locker or an air vent, something that would clearly keep her from harm's way. But she was just sitting there, waiting for an adult to get stealth killed by a bunch of kids, and then warn the next adult that walks by. Talk about some heavy-duty plot armor. A car accident didn't even leave a scratch on her, so of course she doesn't even need to hide, right? Heck, I'm pretty sure she doesn't even need to be rescued. She'll probably just survive that explosion and they could just circle around with a chopper and find the only human being capable of surviving anything, just like Alice, who carries that extra thick plot armor.
Sergeant Nikolai Janofev, at your service.
Mom! Wait! Angie!
Save the girl!
You little... That girl is getting everyone killed! Jill was about to help Nikolai from getting eaten alive by this Cerberus, but Angie is like, there's no time to help that man, let's go! We need to keep the story moving. They're gonna need to tranquilize that kid before she gets someone else killed. So Nikolai gets killed by zombie dogs. Too bad Paul didn't do his homework to realize that Nikolai can easily deal with a Cerberus without flinching. But moving on, Day-Day finds Carlos, they stick together, and Jill continues to protect Angie, who's gotten 2 of her rescuers killed already. Good job. Angie! A little warning next time!
I feel like I'm working in my own casket.
So after Jill tries to make a dramatic exit, Alice jumps in like big sister, and her presence alone must have been what prevented Jill's match from igniting the gas, because if anyone is making a dramatic exit, it's gotta be Paul's waifu. Paul, you already gave Mila Jovovich a dramatic entrance at the church. She does not deserve this. Does she desperately need a dramatic exit even though we haven't seen her at the school the entire time? We get it, dude. She's so cool, right? But don't worry, Jill. I got you covered. With a little editing trick here and there. And there you go. I gotta get back to reality. So, they all get together, exit the school, and make their way towards the building with Daddy Ashford, where his boss is clearly knowing exactly what's going on here. I mean, he did tell Dr. Ashford that, yeah, it's fine, you know, he could stay there, try and locate his daughter. But, how else did the Umbrella agent, Mr. Kane over here, expect a man on a wheelchair to find his daughter? Telepathically? So, Angie happens to be carrying the antivirus, so they use it on Carlos and reach the rooftops. They do a little karate, and like you'd expect, they get caught. But here's where we need to crank that intelligence bar at its lowest. I mean, that's the only way we can enjoy this scene for what it is. They force the Nemesis to fight against Alice. Boo! Boo!
It's Mila Jovovich's movie. She's driving the narrative.
Yeah, this is Mila's movie. Sorry, Jill. We were all hoping to see you go up against the nemesis and willing to sit through this pile of shit just to see that happen. But Paul desperately wanted to see his waifu steal the spotlight again and give the audience what no one was asking for. Oh boy, I wonder who's going to win this fight. The monster who's barely gotten any screen time, or the girl who can kill over 10 dogs in a crowded room without getting touched? This should be amazing. So, Alice and Nemi settled things with bare-knuckle boxing. She wins, of course. I mean, if they tossed a helicopter at her, she would probably just dodge the blades by jumping through it. Even Chuck Norris would say, damn, this bitch don't make any sense. But Nemi? Nope. He gets taken down by a chopper. He's wasted potential here. It's a shame Paul never bothered to study these characters before making a movie revolving around them. If he did his homework, he would have killed off Alice at the very beginning and said, screw that, my waifu fantasies can wait, this story's a goddamn goldmine. But anyways, she easily defeats Nemi and uses the power of love to convince Nemi to fight by her side and take down Umbrella. Bullets couldn't kill him, but a chopper crashing on him is all it takes. Well, that answers 2 dream matches. RoboCop 2's Kane versus Paul Wes Anderson's RE Nemesis. Kane wins, all thanks to Lewis. And the second who would win match, the Super Shredder from the Secret of the Ooze film versus Paul Wes Anderson's RE Nemesis. It's a draw. They would get themselves killed. So, the good guys managed to exit the building after taking down all the Umbrella goons. Angie's dad gets shot and, he turns into a zombie. Why? I don't know. He wasn't infected. This really should have just been Zombie Duke's chance to get the Umbrella agent. But let's not try and get creative with this movie. Once they exit Raccoon City, the nuke goes off and the explosion causes the chopper to crash. Alice wakes up in a test tube being analyzed by Umbrella employees. So this movie ends the same way the previous one ended? Actually, it gets worse. They add a little extra to shock the viewers by giving Alice superpowers. Move over, Neo. It's whamming time. Actually, what happens next is that she walks out the building naked again. Only this time, she is greeted by Carlos, Jill, and Angie, who are posing as Umbrella agents. What? Are you shitting me? They drive away and that's it. Movie's over. Thank God. So, where to start? The one thing I hated the most in this film was seeing that they force Alice to fight against the Nemesis in a bare-knuckle fight. This is the scene that basically made most Resident Evil fans walk out the theater. I was too curious to leave the theater at this point. I was extremely disappointed with what I was seeing, of course, laughing maniacally as this was the moment when I knew that they messed up big time. The waiting for this film just to completely obliterate the Resident Evil 3 storyline. That just killed the dream of seeing a live-action RE3 film. By the way, the editing in this movie's action scenes, it's some of the worst editing I've ever seen. Picture trying to watch a program on TV while someone's rapidly changing through channels. Every single action scene is littered with millisecond jump cuts. Can you tell what the hell is going on? Who's winning? Who's losing? Can you watch this without looking away or having a seizure? I mean, was the action so bad that they had to make the editing super fast-paced with about 7 to 11 jump cuts within a second? This is horrible! Here, let me help you.
I'm good. But I'm not that good. You should be thankful for that. What do you mean?
They did something to me.
Seriously, never edit a fight scene like this. If the fight scenes are gonna be this bad, then might as well make the entire movie like this. Maybe next time they don't let their editor take speed drugs before getting the job done. I'm guessing that's what happened. The editor, Eddie Hamilton, doesn't exactly have a bad record for like fight scenes or so, like with Kick-Ass 1 and 2. So it must have been the footage he was working with. And the drugs. I can't believe there are more sequels ahead of this turd. Like most fans, I tried giving him a chance, but they all start off right away letting you know that this ain't the video game story you wanted. I know the director wasn't Paul with these sequels like with the first film, but he still wrote the storylines. All he had to do was sit down and play the damn games. Even if it's just one, play at least one of them, Paul. Even if it's the very first original version, just so you get the point of the game and why it succeeded even with those terrible graphics, gameplay mechanics, and the voice actors. Anyways, I'm done talking about Resident Evil A-pac-o-lies. It sucked. You'll probably like it if you've never played the games or seen a movie. But even though it has some similarities with the third game, I don't recommend it. Now, seeing as it took me forever to finish a movie review like this one, I'm going to try and summarize everything else into one video instead of 3 parts like I did with the previous 2 Resident Evil movie reviews. So I'll be doing one video review for each of the sequels from now on. And it shouldn't be a problem either, seeing as it's just the first 2 films that have similarities with the games. The rest are basically Milla movies. They just take the brand name to clickbait fans of the game franchise into watching these bland movies with Flatty Magoo over here. So with that said, that's it for the video. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button to give this video a chance to grow. I'd like to thank all my Patreon supporters for their impeccable generosity. Your support means a lot to me, and you are part of the reason why I try to make the best content that I can. And if you like this content, check out the rest of my channel. You'll find more entertainment from separate franchises I like to cover, such as Mortal Kombat, Dragon Ball Z, Celebrity Deathmatch, Men in Black, The Mask, Batman comics, The Terminator, TMNT, Dino Crisis, Resident Evil, and more. If you're a Patreon supporter, check out my exclusive videos such as the Gantz content. And if you'd like to show your support, go to my Patreon and support the channel, which is only $1. Sacrifice that McChicken for extra quality content, my friend. But anyways, I'll see you all in the next video, and remember to have an awesome day.